here we are in 2020, and we can look back to that, and we choose not to. We choose not to see those lessons of the past, and we are still in this crazy group identity crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that comes a little bit back into what you mentioned in your writing about hierarchies. There is something that doesn't seem right about that. And on the surface level, I think we can all relate to that at one time or another in our lives, where we feel like we're not as good at something, or something just doesn't come as naturally in school or in sports or in life, or you're feeling as an adult, like, oh, well, wealth just didn't just fall into my lap, and from my friend over here it did. And it's, it doesn't feel fair because the outcomes are different. But the question is that feeling of, oh, that doesn't feel fully right, based on an actual moral
based on
argument
the real world.
on the real world, or is it just how you feel?
Yeah, which is interesting. For some reason, we do have this feeling of things should be perfect and equal and everything, but the world has never been like that in any way. And even as you were saying that, I was thinking, sure, one person might think this isn't fair, but that's just the wrong way of viewing things. For example, imagine somebody who is in the Western world today. Imagine someone in North Dakota. They're really poor. Say they're homeless. Say they're living on the streets, and they just, they have to eat at like a homeless shelter, and they sleep in a homeless shelter, and they just get like soup every day. To him, that's like the bottom of society. And maybe he's there because he thinks the world's against him. Maybe he's there, he thinks it's because of racism, and he thinks, other races have put me down here. Or maybe it's a woman and she thinks it's because men have put me down here, and look at how men are more are so dominant, and that one guy in my life put me here, and whatever. It's just the wrong way of viewing things. And even breaking it down to materialist, to a breakdown of just materialism, that guy is infinitely more wealthy and well off than anybody in human history ever was. Yeah. The people at bottom of society today live at a much higher living standards than kings did 200 years ago, never mind 1,000 years ago. And then you take that and you never mind history. What about the whole world? Like, compare somebody in the West at the very bottom of society who thinks that they've just had it out. The world has it out for them. They're at the bottom. They can't get up. You are so high above the disabled, random child born minutes before their parents died on the river in Tanzania with, no opportunity. You're like, there are people who are at zero. So you at, 10,000. Yeah, there are people above you and there are people below you. But to me, it's just like, that's just the wrong way of looking at the world. You just can't think of things that way. You have to think of things in terms of yourself, your relationship with the structure of reality, your relationship with yourself. You don't compare. Okay, like, I could find so many ways in my life that I have been disadvantaged by the world. Any way that I go down that path is going to lead to my own destruction, and it's going to lead to the destruction of others. So it's totally unacceptable to me.
So say more about that. Why are you so convinced that it would inevitably lead to destruction?
Because it's historically true. Anytime that people have viewed that their group is oppressed, it's led to that kind of destruction. If you're going to say, I'm oppressed, this evil other group is lording their oppression over me, and I'm going to do something about that, I guess the options would be either I'm going to do nothing and I'm just a victim and I have no path to improve in the world, or I'm going to do something and go get revenge on those people. So either one of those options would kind of be like taking revenge on the structure of the world. It's like, it's back to exactly what we were talking about before. It's back to Cain and Abel. It's like, God and the structure of reality has done me poorly. My sacrifices have not been accepted. The sacrifices that I made to God were not accepted by him. And now I'm going to go take revenge. And so, Abel over there is, he's successful. God is shining down on him, and he's, maybe he's the successful civilization or whatever, in the minds of someone who's suffering. But in the story of Cain and Abel, Cain just saw that is the ideal, that is the successful one. Let me just go take revenge. And so I would say your options are you can go take revenge and you can get rid of your ideal, which will lead to his death and destruction. And then now you have no ideal. So now you are going down a path of death and destruction. Or you can do nothing and you can be a victim and just give in. And that is because the world is suffering, the world is entropy. Things don't just get better by themselves. If you do nothing for a couple months, like if you don't even say you don't work for a couple months or you don't pay your taxes or something, it's death and suffering that comes. We need to be striving. We need to be wrestling. We need to be fighting to try and make it through this this world that is suffering, this world that is beating down on us all the time. It takes so much work just to slowly work our way up. And to me, the mindset is so important to that. The mindset of I'm not a victim. I'm going to make what I can of this world. Anybody can break down the world and say 100 ways in which they're a victim, and they should, by rights, they should have many things given to them. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you start down that path, it's death and destruction.